Good evening, YouTube. Fritz HID here, and by popular request, I've been asked to do some videos on my mod techniques, and tonight we're going to do just a very simple once-over with replacing the LED on a star. As you can see, I have a pull-out from a flashlight. I'm going to pull the star out of this module. First order of business. Just taking the leads off of the star here. Come on. I don't have a lot of length on the leads to pull the star up out of here, which is why I haven't, and that makes it a little more difficult because the heat sinking is doing exactly what the heat sinking is supposed to do. Wait a second here. There we go. And voila, we have a star. Now, on any decent quality light, the back of the star will be coated with something like this, or something like this. This is thermal transfer compound. You can see the gray schmoo on there. Clean that off just to make it a little less annoying to work with. Voila. So here are the new LED. This is an XPL-HI. This is a 6,500 Kelvin, which I quite honestly detest, so I tend to go for a warmer light. This is going to be a medium use light around the house, basically a beater light. So I like a warmer tint at night. So we're going to swap out with a XPL-HI U4 3000. Okay. Now, for any electronics worker, a good pair of third hands is always a plus. A nice hold on that. And to remove this LED, I'm going to be using a Weller. It's a heat gun. It's got two settings, high and then low. Which, you know, 1 and 2, you'd think that that'd be high and that'd be low, but no, this is high, that's low. Which is actually more of a cooling, when you do any kind of work on a board like this, you want to control the heat rise and the heat loss, you know, when you're cooling it down, otherwise you can cause fracture issues. So, first thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of no clean flux, which I have in this little bottle here. That just makes things a little easier. And then you come from underneath, and you start slow, and you'll see the flux start to kind of bubble and whatnot. And get a little closer. And I like to use a pair of Bulldogs. They tend to make the job a little easier. You just grab onto the LED here. Come on. And keep the heat moving. And you apply very light upward pull. When the LED gets just hot enough for the solder to melt, it'll pop right off. Now you don't want to roast these stars because you'll end up delaminating the very thin circuit board from the top of the aluminum core board. And that's always a bad day because, well, then you're buying a new star. Come on, you son of a bitch. Rojas solder can be a little bit stubborn. As can any of the copper boards, copper or brass boards. Aluminum aren't too bad. Copper and brass can be a bitch. Smell the flux starting to heat up now. Yes, this is a brass pill. This is why this is taking so long. Now that that's off, what I like to do, I'm going to add a little bit more no clean here. And then I hit these 3 pads up with a little bit of solder. That should be just about enough. You want to leave a little blob on each pad there because you have your 2 outside terminals and your center heat seeking pad. Pop this guy off. There we go. And you'll see underside the LED, you have pads that'll match that. Now, when it comes down to putting the LED on, I actually prefer to use a RMA. It tends to be a little stickier. Kind of holds things right where you want them. And you just drop her on like that. And go right back to heating her up. See the RMA bubble there? Just lightly reposition him. Now when the solder melts, you'll actually see the LED twist and kind of set into position. The surface tension of the solder will pull it down onto the pads. You just see the solder starting to melt now. Every once in a while, that little bit of encouragement can be just a drop or 2 of solder flux. And I just like to get the little LED center where I want it. There we go. Now I've turned it on to cool mode. Let that solder harden a little. This is just cool air. It's going to slowly bring down the temperature of the whole pad. Alright. And now reposition the buddy clamp here. And it's time to check to make sure that it's set on the pads right. Now, I don't worry too much about polarity. Some people do, some people don't. And we're good. Voila. And yes, I realize positive, negative, negative, positive on the LED. I don't care. I know how to wire an LED. I don't plan on selling this light anyway, so. But that's that simple. Now, the next step, of course, is to clean the LED. Often enough, I just give it a little squirt of denatured alcohol, a little brushing of, small electronics cleaning brush, and then some deionized or you can use distilled water and clean it off, and then I blow dry it with a can of compressed air and reinstall the LED back into the little module there, and voila, you're done.